Hi everyone, I hope you are safe and healthy with your family and friends. In this video, we are going to learn about 11th Standard Accountancy, Chapter 8, Bank Reconciliation Statement, Illustration 2. On 31st March 2018, the bank column of the cash book of Sendamre Traders showed a debit balance of Rs 40,200. So we have the debit balance of cash book is 40,200. That means we have to follow the original method, right? Listen here carefully. They have given bank balance of the cash book. So can you tell me what they asked to us or what we have to find out? Yes, you are right. Now we are going to find out the balance of the bank statement. Okay, so as for the original method, we have to enter the balance of cash book rupees 40,200. Okay, what they given here. So in we are preparing the balance of the bank statement. Okay, so what they given here, they have given cash book balance. So we have to enter the balance as per cash book 40,200. Let's read the next transaction, that is a check for rupees 2,240 deposited on 29th March 2018 was credited by the bank only on 4th April 2018. Listen here carefully. Our check was deposited on 29th March 2018. Listen, we prepared for the bank reconciliation statement on what date? 31st March 2018. But on 4th April only that check was credited by the bank. Okay. So listen, it was not credited on 31st March 2018 when we prepared that date. It was not credited on 31st March 2018. So as for that only, we will follow the original method. So the check was not credited on 31st March only. We have to subtract this transaction. So for that on less column, we have to write check deposited but not yet credited by the bank rupees 2,240. The next transaction is a payment made through net banking for rupees 180 has been entered twice in the cash book. So we made payment through net banking rupees 180. So whenever we made payment, immediately we subtracted 180 rupees. Listen. So whenever we paid cash through bank, so what we do? Immediately our cash book will be decreased, right? So when now we made payment rupees 180. Okay, what we do? Immediately our cash book will be decreased, so we subtracted 180 rupees on our cash book, right? But by mistake we subtracted twice in our cash book on bank column. Listen, when we paid through check, we subtracted first time in our cash book is right. That is correct. Okay. But by mistake, we subtracted second time too. Okay. So it was a wrong entry. So we should rectify this error. How can we rectify this error? We need to add this transaction because second time we subtracted. Second time also we subtracted. First time is correct only. When we made payment immediately, our cash we decreased our cash book. Immediately we subtracted 180 rupees in our cash book on bank column. That is correct. But twice we made the entry. Second time too, we subtracted 180 rupees in our cash book. How can we rectify this error? So we have to add the 180 rupees in our cash book. Okay. So on add column, we have to write net payment entered twice in the cash book rupees 180. The next transaction is checks amounting to rupees 500 which were issued to trade payables and entered into cash book before 31st March 2018 were not presented for payment until that date. So listen carefully. We issued a check rupees 500 for trade payables, and then as usual what we do after issued a check, we immediately enter that into that. Listen, issued check means what we do after issued a check, we immediately subtract it in our cash book, right? Because our cash book will be decreased. If you issued a check, our cash book will be decreased, right? So immediately we enter that 500 rupees in our cash book. Cash paid through check, which means bank account decreased, right? So on or before 31st March, in cash book we subtracted 500 rupees on bank column. Okay. But what happened? Actually what happened in our bank account? At bank, check were not deposited, check were not presented for the payment until date. What we thought actually, after issued a check rupees 500, our bank account decreased, right? So we subtracted 500 rupees in our cash book, right? But check were not presented for the payment until date. That means 31st March 2018. So what happened in our bank account? Our bank account increased because the check were not presented for the payment. When check was presented for the payment, our bank account decreased. But here, the check were not presented for the payment until 31st March 2018. So our bank account increased. Okay. How do we prepare the bank reconciliation statement? We preparing the BRS for balance as per the cash book as for the balance of the bank statement, right? So what we have to do, if bank statement increases, our cash book will also be increased, right? So as for that, we also have to add this transaction in our cash book because that check were not presented for the payment until date. If that check was presented that payment before that 31st March 2018, our bank account will be automatically 500 rupees decreased. But that check were not presented until 31st March 2018. Our bank account still same, okay, remains same. So our bank account increased 500 rupees. So as per the bank statement, our cash book also will be increased. Okay. So for that, we have to add this transaction in, in our cash book. In add column, checks issued, we have to write checks issued to trade payables not yet presented rupees 500. So 500 rupees we entered, that's all. Let's see the next transaction, that is check amounting to rupees 2000 had been recorded in the cash book as having been deposited into bank on 30th March 2018 but was entered in the bank statement on 3rd April 2018. Listen, on 30th March, we deposited a check rupees 2000 into a bank, right? As usual, after deposited a check into a bank, we added rupees 2000 in our cash book. That means after deposited check, our cash book will be increased, right? Actually, what happened at bank on 3rd April only, that 2000 rupees deposited check was entered. Listen, we prepared the bank reconciliation statement on 31st March 2018, but the check was entered on 3rd April only. So our bank account will be increased. Our bank account will be decreased because our deposited check was only entered on after 31st March 2018. On which date? It was entered on it was entered on 3rd April only. So our bank account will be decreased. Okay. So we prepared the cash book as for the passbook. So for that we have to subtract this transaction. So on list column we have to write checks deposited but not yet credited by the bank. Amount rupees 2000 is entered. Let's see the next transaction, that is transport subsidy amounting to rupees 3000 received from the government of Tamil Nadu directly by the bank but not advised to Sendamari traders. So we received Sendamari traders received 3000 rupees for transporting subsidy from Tamil Nadu government. So he received that Sendamari traders received 3000 rupees directly through the bank. So bank account increased, which means bank statement increased rupees 3000. But this information, listen, but not advised to Sendamari traders, which means this information cannot come to Sendamari traders knowledge. Okay, after received bank statement on particular date only, Sendamari traders that knows that he has received 3000 rupees directly from Tamil Nadu government for transporting subsidy. So as for the bank statement, we have to add 3000 rupees to Sendamari traders cash book, right? So that's one. It only shows the cash balance is equal to the bank statement. Okay. So as for that, on add column, we have to write transport subsidy collected by the bank rupees 3000 we entered. The next transaction is a sum of rupees 1500 was wrongly debited to Sendamari traders by the bank, for which not be for which no details are available. So listen carefully here. Bank wrongly debited 1500 rupees to Sendamari traders. Listen, bank account debited means bank account decreased. Okay, bank account debited means what? Bank account decreased. So bank account wrongly debited means bank account subtracted 1500 rupees into Sendamari traders account. So what we have to do? So we also have to do the same thing like bank statement. Okay, then only bank statement is equal to the cash book or cash book is equal to the bank statement. So for that, on subtracted column we have to write wrong debit by bank rupees 1500 will be entered on the amount column. So now we have to find the balancing figure. So for the total added amount is rupees 3680. So we have to add 3680 with the 40,200. What we get? We got 43,880. And to find the less column total, that is 5,740. Now we have to subtract it, that 5,740 with 43,850. What we get? We got 38,140. So we find the balancing figure. This is the balance as per the bank statement. So the balance as per the bank statement is 38,140. That's all. Do you have any doubt? Please comment it on the comment box. Thank you. Take care.